Greetings, I'm John Setzler. Welcome back to the Kamado Joe Cooking Channel. Thanksgiving is just around the corner, so we are going to do a turkey. I've got a turkey that weighs a little over 20 pounds, so we're going to fire up the Big Joe here today and do another Thanksgiving turkey. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to do to prepare this turkey is get our brine ready. I've got a stock pot here that I've put 4 cups of water in. I'm going to add 1 cup of kosher salt and 1/2 cup of sugar, and we're going to get that dissolved in there, and I'm bringing the heat up very slowly. We're not going to boil this. Okay, after I've got that sugar and salt dissolved, I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of fresh thyme, 1 tablespoon of ground mustard, 1 tablespoon of peppercorns, 1 tablespoon of granulated garlic, and about 2 tablespoons of the minced flaked onions. And then we're going to finish that off with 1 cup of hot sauce. I'm just going to stir this together for a couple of minutes over very low heat, and then I'm going to turn the heat off and let this cool. Okay, after we've cooled that mixture, if you remember, I started out with 4 cups of water, and actually I started out with 8 cups of water. So that's I took that 8 cups of water out of 2 gallons that I started with here. I've had this in the refrigerator chilling this water, so we're going to dump that mixture back into this pot, where we have a total of 2 gallons of our brine. If you need more or less brine, you'll have to scale your recipe to this. So I'm going to keep this in the refrigerator until we're ready to brine the turkey. Okay, the next thing you've got to do is find a container to brine your turkey in. I'm going to use my Yeti Roadie cooler, and we're going to dump this brine right in on top of this bird. 2 gallons works out as a perfect amount for me there. So I'm going to close this up, and we're going to brine this bird. This is a 20-pound turkey, so we're going to brine this guy for 18 to 20 hours. Okay, I've loaded up my Big Joe with charcoal, and I've lit 1 of our Kamado Joe fire starter cubes right here in the middle. We're going to let this guy burn with the lid open here for about 10 minutes. Okay, after our fire gets going, I've set my divide and conquer rack in there with the accessory rack in the lower position, and I've put a couple of chunks of peach wood in there for some smoke. So I'm going to set both halves of my deflector plate right in the middle of the X rack, and then we're going to set our grill grates right on top of that, and we're going to settle in today at a cooking temperature of 350 degrees. In order for us to get the Big Joe to settle in at about 350, I'm going to close my lower vent to where I've got about 2 inches open. And on the top vent, I'm going to close the slider all the way for now, open the daisy wheel fully, and we'll let this guy come up slowly. If we need to adjust the temperature any, I'll either open the top vent more or I'll close it down, depending on whether we need to raise or lower the temperature in the grill. While the grill's warming up, we're going to make our injection for this turkey, and we're going to start this injection out with 4 sticks of unsalted butter. I'm going to put that in a saucepan, and we're going to melt that. Okay, after we get our butter melted, I'm going to add 12 ounces of beer, and today we're going to add a bottle of the Stone Saison. We're going to dump all that in there, and then we're going to bring this up to a low boil. Okay, after we get up to a slow boil there, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of sea salt, 1 tablespoon of paprika, 1 tablespoon of whatever your favorite barbecue rub is, 1 tablespoon of ground mustard, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, and 1 tablespoon of finely ground black pepper. And we're going to stir that in, and we're going to let that simmer for about 10 minutes. Okay, after we've simmered that for about 10 minutes, we're just going to turn the heat off and set this aside. And our next step is going to be to make a dry rub to go on the outside of this turkey. And for today's dry rub, I am going to use equal parts of Kamado Joe poultry seasoning and the Kamado Joe peach rub. I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of each. If you don't have these ingredients, you can use your favorite poultry rub mixed half and half with whatever your favorite barbecue rub might be. So we're just going to dump these in a bowl together here, and I'm going to whisk these together, and we're going to use that as a dry rub on the outside of this turkey. Okay, I have removed my turkey from the brine, and the first thing we're going to do is take a couple of dry paper towels and pat down the outside of this bird and get all the excess moisture off. And then our next step is going to be to inject this bird, and I'm going to work my injector. I'm going to kind of work in 1-inch pattern all the way across. We're going to try to inject as much of this injection that we made into this bird as possible. Okay, and after we've gotten all that injection in there, we're going to start shaking our rub on here, and we're going to get this bird fairly liberally coated with this rub mixture that we made up. Okay, now that we've got all that rub on there and all that injection in this turkey,
let's put that bad boy on the grill.
Okay, our Big Joe's just about up to temperature, so I am going to set this turkey right here in the middle of the grill. And I'm also going to stuff some aromatics inside. I've got a quartered onion that's going to go in there, and I've got an apple that I've quartered up. We're just going to stuff all that right up in the cavity of this turkey. And I'm also going to stuff a bunch of fresh thyme inside there. So we're going to get the lid closed on this thing, and we're going to cook until we get the breast up to 165. And now we're going to close it up, and I'm going to let it cook for an hour to start with, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay folks, we've been going about an hour here, and what I'm going to do now is use a little bit of my leftover injection, and we're just going to baste the outside of this turkey with that one time here, and then we're going to close it back up and let it cook for a couple more hours. Okay guys, we've been going for about 3 hours here. This thing's starting to look really good. I'm going to take a quick temperature reading deep down inside the breast here, and it's up to about 155, so it's got a little bit longer to go. So I'm going to go ahead and baste it once again with a little bit of this leftover injection that we put in here. It's smelling wonderful, so we're going to let it cook probably another 30 minutes maybe. We'll be back when it gets time to take it off. Alrighty, we are about 3 hours and 15 minutes into this cook, and this bird is ready. I'm going to take this guy off the grill. We're going to take it inside and let it rest for about 15 minutes or so, and then we're going to cut into it and have a look and of course have a taste. Okay folks, I'm going to carve into this guy and see what we got going on. Oh man, that looks good. I hope you can see that. See the juices running through there? We'll take a little piece of that off. Okay, time for a taste. We'll taste a little piece of that breast meat that we cut off of there with the skin on it. Wow, that's delicious. That's a really nice flavor coming from the brine inside the meat, as well as the seasoning on the outside and the base we used on it. Man, that's delicious. We'll taste a little bit of this leg. This is my favorite part, the dark meat, the drumstick. So let's try that out. Wow, that's fantastic, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you can try this method, this recipe. Put this on your dinner table at Thanksgiving, and your family and friends will not be disappointed. Join us on Facebook, facebook.com/KamadoJoe. Leave us a comment on the video. Let us know what you think. Until next time, this is John Setzler with Kamado Joe Cooking Channel.